This is embarrassing to admit, but I've made hundreds and hundreds of mistakes over the past 7 years running my clothing brand. Whether it was not hiring somebody sooner to pack orders, releasing products for my brand that just sucked, but none of these mistakes come even close to the one big mistake that I want to share with you in this video. The mistake that I'm going to share with you in this video cost me years trying to get around it. Years of headaches. And if I can prevent you from making this same mistake inside of your own clothing brand, then it's a job well done, and I can't wait to share it with you. Here it is. Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at Design Crowd. And if designs are something that you struggle with, I really recommend that you try them out. You post your project on Design Crowd, amazing designers from all around the world are going to compete for your project. You choose the winner, then you get that design plus revisions. I've literally sold thousands of these designs on my website, and I got them all made through Design Crowd. If you're interested, head over to designcrowd.com/apparel to learn about the special offer that I have for you, or just use the discount code apparel when you post a project on Design Crowd. Okay, so the biggest mistake that I've made as a clothing brand owner by far happened when I first started up my brand. When I first started up my brand, I wasn't clear on the value proposition of my brand. I didn't really know how to define exactly why people were going to want to buy the clothing that I was selling. I had a feeling, I had an intuition, but I couldn't clearly write it out or define it. And when I launched my brand, the reason why I launched my brand and I made this mistake was because I was oblivious. I had no idea about any of the things that I'm teaching on this channel. All of the things that I teach on this channel have come out of the 7 years experience learning these things as I go. If I could go back in time, or if I could start all this over again, I would go back in time and tell myself, dude, breathe, chill. Let's get clear on everything first. Let's really figure out exactly what your brand is. Who is it for? What is the identity? What is the concept? Who exactly are you selling to? One of the reasons this is such a catastrophic mistake is because once you launch your brand, you've chosen a brand name, you've locked into this concept of what you think your brand is. And the next step after that for most brand owners is, well, let's go create products. Let's go do some marketing. Like, let's get this thing out there. And once you make that decision to start your brand, it's very rare that the clothing brand owner will have enough awareness to actually still take the time to go back into their brand and figure out who their brand is for and what their brand's all about. There's all this thinking, they get their idea in their brain about what their brand's about, and then right after that moment, they go, okay, well, I don't need to think about that anymore. How am I gonna sell? How am I gonna get this brand out there? And that's basically what I did too. The brand came out of this feeling that I had, but I hadn't quite figured out what it was like with objective clarity. And funny enough, this is the exact issue that I see in 90% of the clothing brands that I do reviews for. They send me their brand and I just don't quite understand like what they're selling, like why anybody would want to really buy it. They haven't quite gotten clear on that. And it's the reason why they're struggling to make sales and why they're just gonna continuously spin their wheels and not make sales. You know what it looks like to see a brand where they have a clear identity and you know who they're going after. Like if I say Lululemon right now, and you think about the company Lululemon, you know that they're like yoga pants. They're yoga wear. That's what they do. And they offer really high quality pants for those people. It's insanely clear. That's what they started on. That's how they built their whole brand. And then they slowly expanded into other little market segments and things like that once they had established who they were. But if you start from this place of confusion and you've got a million different market segments that you're trying to sell to and you don't have a clear identity, well, then you're really gonna struggle. And this is why I struggled for, the first 2 years so much when I really think about it. I thought I was selling to hockey players. I even went to a hockey event and set up a tent there and was trying to sell to hockey players. And then I realized this brand actually isn't for those people. It's for the people in rural Canada who have this slang and who are kind of like more on the fringe of Canada and in these small towns. And it was a completely different market. And the symptoms of this illness that your clothing brand has and will continue to have will manifest in the most frustrating ways possible. When you're posting on TikTok or on Instagram, your posts won't be getting out there. And it's because people just sense from your brand that it's just not like doing anything for them. They're not really getting anything out of it. And it's not connecting with a particular group of people or a particular identity. And it's just like this head scratcher. And you'll keep asking yourself, why aren't I making sales for my brand? I don't understand why this isn't working. And it's quite literally because your entire brand was built on this assumption that people will know who your brand is better than you will know who your brand is. and nobody's gonna know your brand better than you. Basically, the level of clarity that you have as the clothing brand owner will determine the level of clarity that your market can potentially have for your brand. So if I could go back in time, what I would do to prevent this, and what I recommend that you do to prevent making this mistake inside of your own brand, it's all about the words. When you can put your brand into words, you're moving away from how your brand feels and having this intuition about your brand and all these assumptions, and you're moving it more into a reality. You're moving your brand more into a true definition and into a true identity. So what I would have done is go back in time and really spent like a month or 2 months figuring out exactly what my brand is on paper, like writing out the words. And it took me years to figure out that the 3 words for my clothing brand was, we represent rural Canada, because that's who we are selling to, is the people in rural Canada. You can't imagine the amount of words that I wrote down until I got to those words. It's funny because when I say representing rural Canada, I'm like, yeah, that's obvious. But it wasn't obvious until I was able to write it out. Now it's obvious. And you want the people when they come to your site to be like, yeah, this is obvious who it's for. So it's kind of like this funny thing where you know it deep down. It's like this feeling, but you have to get it out. And the best way to get it out is to write it out. That's the best way to figure this out. And to get even more specific with this, write out the things that your market likes, their favorite TV shows, their favorite movies, their favorite ways of thinking, their age. Write out the exact ideal customer. I know that I'm getting back into like this annoying customer avatar stuff, but at the end of the day, it's actually true, and it's actually so important. And it's all through research. What I did to get away from the boring stuff is like, go on Instagram, look up the type of person that you think would want to buy your clothing. Look at how they talk. Look at the ways that they're typing in comments. Look at who they're following. Really figure out, okay, this is the brand identity. 24 to 36-year-old Canadians living in small towns. They're not in the big cities. They drink beer. They work a 9-to-5 job. They make maybe between $40,000 to $60,000 a year. They watch Letterkenny, Trailer Park Boys on TV. They go fishing. They go hunting. They talk this way to their friends. They write these types of comments on social media. It's so clear. Boom. Now you just create a brand for those people on your website. It's just structured like perfectly for those people. All of the clothing that you release is perfect for those people. All of the content you make on social media is perfect for those people. And it all just becomes so much easier. So, if I'd been clear on that right from the beginning, I'd be where I am today so much faster. And I really hope that prevents you from making those mistakes yourself. My clothing brand marketing program is 50% off until the end of the year, and this is the last sale that I'm ever going to have. I break down real conversations I've had with celebrities and influencers to land endorsements for my own brand. I show you how to grow a real following on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube from scratch. And I show you how to set up, structure, and scale up Facebook ads and TikTok ads for your clothing brand. If you're interested, you can learn more about what's inside at clothingbrandmarketing.com, and I hope to see you inside.